So, Panthers win the Stanley Cup at 6. What do you think?
Well, they were a better team.
Yeah.
They were a better team. But there's no way that I was going to go against Edmonton.
Yeah.
And
you know the one thing, like you and I came over and we watched all the games together except for the last one. The one thing you pointed out was as soon as if it wasn't a 3-on-2 or 2-on-1, the Panthers
they dumped it in.
They dumped it in, and they dumped it in correct. Like tell people what the right way to dump it in.
Well, you go down the left side, and the right winger's just smoking, and you put it in the right corner.
Yeah, and that's what they did. That's what they did almost every time. And you look at Edmonton, the first goal, guy was Ekblom. He just had a horrible. He was terrible the last two games. He's 2 feet from the blue line. He passes it to another guy that's a foot from the blue line. Loses the puck, 1-0, and you can just see the bench sink after that.
Yeah, you wonder anybody doing that.
The other thing too you mentioned was like you had basically a system. But some guys could play outside the system, but the rest of the guys had to play the system.
Brad Park.
Right.
When he fooled around.
Right.
And he usually got out of it.
Right.
I remember him saying, I said, you can hardly move out there. And he says, they come right to me.
That's right. At the end of his career.
And he says, they come right to me.
Yeah.
And...
He it's too bad. He would have been a great coach. He got in trouble when he admitted that he sent the team over for a bench clearing brawl, and that was it. But he was too honest, right?
He was too honest.
But,
well, I didn't know.
Yeah, that's all you got to say. Yeah,
I didn't know. And then they went on. They went on their own.
Right. But what we were getting to was. The Leafs or your defensemen like Gary Doak and Ricky Smith and Dennis O'Brien, their job was you get the puck, you put it around the boards.
Put it around the boards and put it up high.
So, but Brad Park was allowed to rush with it.
Yeah, he get rid of it.
And you look at like Edmonton. Okay, McDavid could go with the puck, but the other guys they tried to do what McDavid did instead of dumping it in, and the Panthers just stood up. Right at the blue line, and they lost it all the time. So Dad Bennett wins the MVP. What'd you think?
Well, I thought my Marchand was pretty good. Should have give it to both of them.
Yeah. Well, because normally if you lead the league in goals, usually that's what they do, right? But you look at Marchand. He had 10 goals, 20 points, 3 game-winning goals, 2 overtime winners, and was the second highest plus-minus with plus 17.
Well, Marchand, I think, should have won it.
And the one thing you were saying, too, like we were talking at the beginning, and I picked Florida. I said, you take Bobrovsky over Skinner in 7 games. And at Game 6, you said Skinner's he hasn't stolen a game.
Skinner never stole a game, and you're absolutely right. He's got to steal one game. He's got to be the outstanding player, and he wasn't.
Before we take a few questions from the audience, Dad, nobody remembers Dale Talon, right? Yeah. You look at what he did. He was the general manager of the Panthers before Bill Zito. And he signed Bobrovsky, Ekblad, and Barkov. That was half of their starting lineup. And nobody remembers him. I hope they give him a ring or something.
I don't even know if he's with the club.
Okay, so we'll take a few questions from the audience.
All right.
We asked on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. We had close to 300 questions. Okay, this one's from Duke. It says, wouldn't Brad Marchand have been a great left winger with Peter McNabb and Terry O'Reilly of your Boston Bruins?
Oh, boy. Would they imagine him potting goals. He never seems to get tired or anything like that. The one guy, he really deked, and then he went in and did score the goal. I don't think he ever got tired.
No. He could have played in the 70s. Like, there's not a lot of guys in the NHL today could play in the 70s.
Yeah.
And he's one that could.
Absolutely.
Okay, Dad, the next one's from Budman. And by the way, Dell's on vacation today, so he's not here. Budman says, "Hey Grapes, the Leafs took the Panthers to Game 7 and had them on the ropes in Game 3. Remember, they were in overtime and the Golden Boy had a breakaway and Bobrovsky stopped them. So would you consider the Leafs the second best team in the league behind the Stanley Cup champs?"
Well, you'd have to do it if they went 7 games. You'd have to say they did, but they looked awful that 7th game.
It's just, again, like, of all the weird things in hockey, how the Leafs could come out so flat in Game 7. Like, when you were coaching, did you see one day, like, the Bruins just didn't have it?
Never in the playoffs.
Never in the playoffs.
Never in the playoffs. During the season, just didn't have it.
So what did you do?
Oh, I played the third and fourth line.
Yeah.
Third and fourth line to death.
Do you ever think, like, did you ever know why, or just...
I never could figure out why.
I'm sure if they ask Berube, he'll say, I have no idea. Okay, Dad, now we got a tough one. This one's from Ziegs. Who's your early prediction as to who will win the 2026 Stanley Cup?
Well, nobody can do that. You have to see what happens with free agency. You have to see what happens to where the players go.
Well, it's tough to say because if Marner signs with the Leafs, you'd have to look and say, as we said earlier, they're the second best team in the league.
Yeah.
You know, and all they do is maybe add some third or fourth line guys. But if he leaves, you never know. And it's kind of tough. You can't tell with injuries and stuff like that.
You can't tell. You can't tell.
Well, let's first of all talk about Cindy's book. Still doing well. Still top of the charts on sports biographies. And Cindy worked hard on it and talks about Poppygate, talks about...
I remember all those stories.
Yeah, lots of stories about growing up. And Cindy had it a little bit harder because I only was in Rochester, then went to Boston and Colorado. Cindy went, from Hershey to Springfield to Three Rivers to Kitchener to... she didn't go out west, did she?
Yeah, she was out west.
Yeah, so out in Spokane and all that. Yeah, so and tells about all those things. So it's a great book, and we're happy that it's still top of the charts, and you can get it at chapters.ca or amazon.ca, and it's starting select stores. So she did a good job, and great cover. You look like Thomas Shelby from Peaky Blinders on it. So
she always liked that picture.
Yeah, it's a very different picture. Okay, Dad, this is from Euler La Bamba. Hey, Grapes, do you think a healthy Zach Hyman would have made a difference for the Oilers?
I really do. I really believe that they would have kicked in a few goals and been in front of the net. He was a good guy in front of the net.
Yeah, that's what they needed, right? They needed a guy like him to get some dirty goals.
Yes, I really believe. Yeah, at least gone 7 anyhow.